1970 was the year that the Singapore Herald was started. The Singapore Herald was a daily newspaper, very gutsy. It was started by Francis Wong, a former colleague of mine in the Straits Times, in the Straits Times group. And he was involved in the PAP Barisan Socialist controversy. The PAP is the ruling party here. The Barisan Socialist, the more left-leaning party in Singapore. And he wrote a commentary in a newspaper then called the Sunday Mail, which was published by the Straits Times Group. He was editor of the Sunday Mail, and this commentary was on page 1, and the heading was "A curse on both the houses." So, at first glance, it was a commentary that said, "Hey, you two stop quarreling because you're not doing Singapore any good." So, a curse on both your houses. But if we were to read it more carefully between the lines, it was a pro-Barisan, anti-PAP commentary.
That was pretty risky even back then.
Well, yeah, it was very well written. And I saw him writing it. He wrote it very quickly too. And the government was very upset, and a lot of pressure was put on the bosses of the Straits Times Group. As a result of which, Francis Wong was transferred to the Straits Times office in Kuala Lumpur, and he was regarded as persona non grata in Singapore. Maybe not formally, but at least informally. So he was a kind of exile, not official, but an unofficial exile. And the thing I need to compliment our then bosses. They were under a lot of pressure from the government in Singapore, but they did not sack Francis Wong. They transferred him to Kuala Lumpur to get him out of harm's way. So after a few years...
What do you mean by harm's way? What would have happened to him?
I suppose if he got careless in his political activity, he might have been arrested.
Okay. So then can I ask you a question which I'm sure a lot of people here would want to know?
Okay.
Is there freedom of speech in the press in Singapore?
Freedom, yeah, I think much more than in 1959 or 1970.
And what
much
about
more
when
than when I was
editor?
much more now than when I was editor-in-chief. But the interesting thing is that I think I'm 71 years old, 33 years in the media. I try to relate to young people like you.
Thank you.
So I think that there's much more leeway now for the media in Singapore.
Mm-hmm.
But it's interesting that many young journalists I've spoken with, I'm not speaking to you about this yet, so maybe you can tell me later on.
Okay. Off camera, so you know, it's off record.
So they told me that things have not changed. There's still a lot of pressure. Some people say it was worse than when you were here. I don't think I'm convinced by that. I hope it's not.
You're retired. I still need my job.
Okay. So that the pressure there. So coming back to the Francis Wong story. One day, well, not one day, but he got this brainwave, and I'm sort of taking some liberties by trying to say what he was thinking. Okay, but he was a friend of mine. He's now passed away. It's like a docudrama. Okay, I got some unauthenticated dialogue. So Francis, in unofficial exile in Kuala Lumpur, thought, hey, the lousy Straits Times is making a lot of money in Singapore. This is Straits Times TV actually. I'm still a friend.
Hi boss. Sorry about this. Yeah.
The lousy Straits Times in Singapore is making a lot of money. It's not doing Singapore any good. It's practicing lousy journalism. It's too servile to the damn PAP and the damn government. I can do a better job and serve not only Singapore and newspaper readers, but also this bloody government, because this government deserves a better press. So as I said, these unauthenticated thought processes in Francis Wong, okay? and I hope he's not turning his grave. Actually, he's cremated. So he can't turn his grave.
Okay.
Not in bad taste, I apologize. So he wrote to S. Rajaratnam, who was then the culture minister, ex-journalist, and a friend of ours too, and proposed to Raja that he should be allowed to come back to Singapore, or given safe passage back to Singapore, and given a newspaper publishing permit. And he said, I will give you a newspaper that Singapore can be proud of. Now, in fairness to Mr. Lee Kuan Yew, he has always wanted the best of Singapore. But where the local media is concerned, he wanted his cake and be able to eat it too, because he wanted the Singapore media to be as good as media anywhere else in the world, but he wanted the Singapore media to practice journalism the way he thinks it should be practiced in Singapore. So some people say you cannot have one without the other. Either have freedom or no excellence. I think somewhere in between we can get things done. So Francis managed to convince Raja, and surprisingly, Raja managed to convince Mr. Lee Kuan Yew, who we will refer to as LKY. I hope he doesn't mind.
Well, everyone refers to him as LKY.
By the way, the late Mr. Devan Nair, my girlfriend told me, when you tell stories, don't go into diversions. Sorry, I can't help it. I must tell you this. The late Mr. Devan Nair, who was the union leader and president of Singapore, he used to refer to Mr. Lee Kuan Yew as Chief Thundercloud, because when he's angry, wham, the thunder strikes, lightning strikes, AP